you go from, a marketing role for Latin America to doing it for other countries, and you end up doing, handling innovation. You end up running Australia, you end up running the Asian part of it, you end up running China, and all of this kind of stuff. Is there, I realize that was a big fast forward through your time, but as you look at what you learned from those experiences and living and working, during that time and that kind of thing, what sort of lessons do you take away, and what would you share? What would you say to someone said, like, what can I learn from that?
I think, taking those big leaps, taking those applying, especially when the women, a lot of women don't apply unless they're 100% or 150% qualify. I was lucky in that people ahead of me or above me were looking down and saying, "Hey, we think she has something. Let's give her this opportunity." And I wouldn't have raised my hand and said I was ready to be a general manager for Australasia, but someone else came in and said, "Hey, we think you can do it." Um, and then in doing it, I mean, I was scared to death when I first went there, but also, back to Graham, he gave me this card and I still have it and remember it today. And it basically said, "What would Steph do?" And it was both, "Hey, I believe in you," and like, "What would you do? Because you are good enough to do it." But also for me, later it became literally, "What would Steph do? Like, what's my authenticity?" And I think for the first couple of assignments of being a leader or general manager, I one of the things I have this conversation with a lot of people who are newly managers. You often rely on power or you rely on fear to rule because you kind of it's revered in our society. And so you don't really know, and you might be young or insecure. And so you don't know how to manage people without doing some of those things. And those are some of the things that a few times I tried to use that as a a motivation or a lever, and it didn't sit right with me. It's not who I am, but also it just didn't really work. And so I think learning those lessons, learning like, who are you, and knowing that you're going to go through a period where you're not going to get it right. You have to kind of bump against the edges until you find that middle ground, right? And I think for sure my experience in Australia and later in China, there was a lot of learning. But I was also really kind to myself and said, "It's okay, you're learning." And I think back to the theme of mentors, in both of those situations, instead of a mentor, I got a coach. I hired a coach in Australia. And then in China, I hired someone who understood Chinese culture because that was very new to me. So just being open to reaching out to others for help,
Yeah.
books, coaches, mentors, it's okay to not know and to learn and to grow from it.